Hi yogis, I'm Cindy. Today we're going to do a modified slow flow sequence. As you can see, the lovely Molly is here to be my practice partner. We're going to start in a seated position, whatever's comfortable for you. Molly was just seated on her knees, which might be comfortable, but she might also like to sit in a crisscross leg position with a block underneath her hips for a little bit of extra support. Once you find a comfortable place to be, wherever your body lands, let it land there. Let the eyes gently close. And bring the palms of the hands to a place that feels comfortable. That might be on your thighs. It might be in the lap. Start to come into your practice frame of mind, beginning to turn inwards and let go of all of the challenging things that are out there that tend to prey upon our minds. Just letting yourself begin to breathe in gently and evenly. Allowing every breath to add a little softness. Every breath to add a little bit of ease. I'd like to focus on gratitude today. And as an expression of this, I'd like one hand to come to the heart and one hand to come to the belly. Feeling the beat of the heart and offering gratitude for that sense of life-giving force. Feeling the breath in the body, the rising and falling of the chest and the belly as you breathe in and breathe out. Offering gratitude for the opportunity to feel that tactile reaffirmation of life-giving forces in your body. On your next inhale, imagine that you breathe all the way in and draw the air down into the belly, allowing the belly to expand out like a beach ball. And then exhale. Release, letting the belly contract slowly. Breathe in, fill up, belly all the way, expand. Breathe out, empty. Inhale this time, fill up belly, and then allow the breath to track up and fill up the ribs as well. Exhale down, ribs to belly. Breathe in, belly first, fill the ribs and palms. Exhale, ribs to belly. Inhale, belly, ribs, all the way up. Fill up the chest. Pause at the top. And then exhale down, chest to ribs to belly. Breathe in, belly, ribs, chest. Pause. Breathe out, chest, ribs, belly, pause. Continuing to breathe just like this, filling each time and emptying each time. Feeling the movement of the hands as you breathe. Inhaling gratitude. Exhaling the things that you need to let go of. 5 more breaths, just like this. This last breath in, make it a little deeper, a little stronger, a little longer. Open mouth, exhale. Release the hands. And then gently begin to blink the eyes open, bringing yourself back. When you're ready, inhale, reach those arms all the way up high to the sky. Give yourself a little bit of movement here, reaching with one set of fingers, reaching with the other, until the body just starts to lengthen one side, lengthen the other side. Deep breath in, reach up. And then exhale, twist to your right, left hand to the right knee, right hand swims behind you. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Take a breath, and then exhale, maybe the gaze comes over that right shoulder just a little. Now, if you're still on a prop at this point, if you want to get rid of it at any point, feel free to move it out of your way. But you're welcome to also keep it here to add a little bit of height, a little bit of length. Take one more breath, fill up. And then exhale, twist back to center. Inhale, sweep arms up high to the sky. And exhale, twist to your left, right hand to the left knee. Left hand swims behind you, finding that length in the spine. Finding that gentle twist in the spine, and then maybe allowing the gaze to come over the shoulder, deepening that twist just a little bit more. Full breath in, full breath out. One more inhale. And then exhale, slowly twist back to center. Start to walk the hands forward on the mat, coming into a tabletop position. You might want to get rid of any prop and get it out of your way. So for this tabletop, if the knees are a little bit cranky, you might put a blanket underneath the knees. You also might walk the hands forward a little bit to change that angle of the wrist. The other option is, if that's still too much on the wrist, you might come onto your fist as we move into some cat and cows. Once the body feels like it's in the perfect place to begin to move, inhale, drop your belly, lift your heart, lift your gaze, cow pose. Exhale, arch the spine and tuck the chin for cat. Breathe in, drop belly, lift gaze. Breathe out, arch the spine and tuck the chin. One more together, inhale, drop belly, lift gaze. Exhale, arch the spine, press the mat away. Now start to find a little bit of movement on your own here, moving with your breath and finding some spaces in your body. Maybe you move it forward and back a little bit, move the hips, shift the head, give it a shake yes or shake no. Start to scan the body and find the places that need a little bit of extra movement, that need a little bit of extra attention today. And just let yourself move in any way that feels good. And then come on back and find your neutral spine whenever you're ready. Make any adjustments you need to make. Maybe now's the time where you add that blanket under the knees. Maybe now's the time where you adjust the wrists. On an inhale, step the right toes all the way to the back of the mat. Keep the toes on the mat, press the heel back towards the back of the room, and think about this length that you're creating all the way from the hip to the heel. And then if it feels like it's right for you, you can begin to lift those toes away from the mat, coming into a little bit of a bounce, lining up the heels, the hips, the heart, and the head, so the body is one long line of energy. And then maybe you stay like this. Or maybe you take the option to lift that left hand away from the mat and reach it forward, finding one long line now all the way from the tips of the fingers all the way back to the heel of that right foot, keeping the belly pulled up and in, the body long. Breathe in. Exhale, palm down, shin down. Take a couple cat-cows just to wring out the spine. And then coming back, find your flat, neutral spine. Moving to the opposite side, this time left toes will step to the back of the mat, pressing into the toes, pressing through the heel, lengthening from the hip all the way down to the heel, feeling all of the muscles in that whole left leg begin to engage. And then the option to pull those toes away from the mat, lengthen through the heel, reach, reach, reach. And then that final option, maybe the right fingertips come away from the mat and reach forward, fingers spread wide, reaching towards the front of the room as if you were reaching out to shake someone's hand. Finding that length from fingertips to heel, really stretching as if you're elongating the spine. Take a breath in, fill all the way up. And then exhale, palm down, shin down. A couple more cat-cows just to give your body that last little bit of flexion and extension of the spine. Come on back to your flat neutral spine. Tuck the toes under. And then slowly start to pull the knees away from the mat, lifting the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Finding a little bit of movement here to begin with, maybe pedaling the feet, shifting the heels from side to side, shifting the hips from side to side, shaking the head yes or no. And giving some time to evaluate this downward facing dog. We spend a lot of time in this pose in our practice, and so we want it to feel good in the body. Maybe the feet come a little bit further apart. Maybe you put a little bend in the knees. Option to come down onto the forearms if the body feels a little bit better, taking some of that pressure off the wrists. And then option to put blocks under the hands to give the body a little bit more lift. Finding a place in this down dog that feels right, and when you do, settling into that place. Allowing the heels to lengthen down towards the mat, the heart to press back towards the thighs. Beautiful. Take a breath in and take a breath out. Now as you breathe in, this next time begin to walk the hands back towards the feet so you come to a forward fold at the back of the mat. Lift up halfway, slide the palms to the shins, lengthen through the spine, get that nice flat back. And then as you exhale, fold down and in, bend the knees deeply, palms to opposite elbows for a ragdoll swing. Letting the body maybe just move gently back and forth, giving as much or as little bend to those knees, or maybe bending and straightening the knees a little bit to give some release to the low back. This is all about releasing the low back, making space with the spine, using the heaviness of the head to traction and lengthen. Let yourself just hang here as much as you can. Take a breath, fill up. Exhale, let it go. Breathe in and breathe out. Give yourself one more inhale here, lengthen. And then exhale, find that last little bit of fold in. Release fingertips to the mat, keep the knees nice and bent, and then slowly, one vertebra at a time, start to roll your way all the way up to a standing position, to that mountain pose. Palms of the hands down by the hips, palms facing forward, firmly rooted into the feet, stacking up all the bones and the joints. And again, these feet can be a little bit further apart or a little bit closer together, whatever gives you that stable base and makes you feel strong and tall. Next inhale, sweep your arms up high to the sky. Exhale, draw the hands to the heart. Allowing the eyes to close for just a moment and reflecting on what you might like to think of as your focus for this practice. I offered an intention of gratitude, and certainly that can be your intention, but perhaps there's something else that you've been working on, something else that comes to mind that you would like to use as your intention. Set your focus there. Flutter the eyes open. Inhale, sweep arms up, high to the sky, look up. Stretch and lengthen, breathe in. Exhale, hands to the heart, forward fold all the way down to the mat. Inhale, lift halfway, hands slide to the shins as you lengthen through the spine. And then exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, sweep up, stand up, look up. Exhale, hands to the heart as you fold forward all the way down. Halfway lift, breathe in. Fold down, breathe out. Inhale, sweep up, look up. Last time, lengthen. Really reach through all 10 fingers. And then exhale, hands to the heart, forward fold all the way down to the mat. Halfway lift, take a breath in, and then exhale, fold all the way down. Plant the palms on the mat and then walk your way all the way out to a downward facing dog. Finding that same shape of the dog, pressing through the feet, lengthening through the spine, reaching up and back with the hips. Take a breath, fill up. Breathe the breath out, let it go. Next inhale, come up on the toes, deeply bend your knees. And then as you exhale, tippy toe your feet all the way up to the hands at the top of the mat for a forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Fold down, breathe out. Inhale, stand up tall and reach up high. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Palms to the mat, breathe out. Flatten the palms on the mat, bend the knees enough to make that happen, and then step your right foot all the way to the back of the mat, and then your left foot all the way to the back of the mat, plank pose. You're more than welcome to take this in this version of plank on the toes, or lowering down one or both knees to add a little bit of additional support. On your next inhale, shift forward just a little bit, shoulders beyond the wrist. As you exhale, lower down knees, and then chest, and then chin. Beautiful. Release the tops of the feet to the mat, and then inhale, lift your heart up for cobra pose. Just a little baby to start. Exhale down, chin to mat. Inhale, lift up, cobra pose, maybe a little bit higher this time. Exhale down, chin to mat. Inhale, last one, lift up, pause as you breathe out. Inhale, lift just a little bit higher, nice. Exhale down, chin to mat. Come on up through a tabletop position. And then tuck your toes, lift your knees, and shift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Finding that movement that you need, any adjustments that you need. Taking a breath in to expand. And breathing a breath out, letting go. Inhale, come up on the toes and bend the knees. Walk the feet to the hands. Find that halfway lift, lengthen the spine, palms to the shins. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms sweep up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, long breath in. Exhale, palms plant, flatten them out, bend the knees enough to make that happen. Step the feet to the back of the mat, plank pose. Again, option for knees or toes here. Shift forward, shoulders beyond the wrists, lower down, knees, chest, and chin. Release the tops of the feet to the mat and lift your heart up for cobra pose. Exhale down, chin to mat. Come on up through a tabletop or a plank pose, and then exhale back to downward facing dog. Take a breath in, and take a breath out. Inhale on the toes, bend the knees. Exhale, walk the feet to the hands. Halfway lift, breathe in. Fold down, breathe out. Inhale, stand up, reach up, look up. Exhale, fold forward all the way down. Half lift. Palms flatten on the mat, bend the knees, step all the way back to your plank pose, knees or toes. Shift forward, shoulders beyond the wrist, and then lower your body down to the mat. Lift your heart up for cobra pose. Exhale down, chin to mat. Plank or tabletop, take a breath in. Downward facing dog, take a breath out. Inhale high on the toes. Exhale, takes the feet to the hands. Halfway lift, take a breath in. Fold down, take a breath out. Touch the big toes together, bend your knees, shift your hips back, and reach the arms high to the sky, chair pose. Now this chair pose can be knees really bent, or knees just bent a little bit. Whatever fits your body today. Arms can be reaching high to the sky, or you can slide the hands to heart center, or even bring them down to the hips if that feels better in your body. Take a breath, fill up. Pause as you exhale. One more breath in. And then exhale, slowly forward fold. Halfway lift, lengthen through the spine. And then take the palms to the mat, stay right here. On an inhale, take your left foot and step it all the way to the back of the mat. Slowly lower that left knee down to the mat. Option to put a blanket under this knee if the knee's a little bit cranky. Option to put blocks underneath the hands if you need a little bit more height here. Begin by lengthening through the crown of the head. And then slowly start to bring the hands to that right thigh, stacking them up on the thigh. Gentle little pressure downwards on the thighs with the hands, lengthening the spine against it so you get that nice tall spine. Now you might stay here. This might be where you stay for this pose, or you have the option to reach the arms up high to the sky. Reaching through all 10 fingertips, rooting firmly through that left shin on the right foot. Beginning to find that drishti gaze straight forward, softening the shoulders away from the ears. Take a breath, fill all the way up. And then exhale, the palms are going to frame that front foot. Tuck your back toe, lift your back knee. The back foot steps up to meet the front. Lift halfway, lengthen, fold all the way down. Find your chair pose, bent knees, hips sit down and back. Sweep the arms up high to the sky, or maybe keep the hands at heart center if that feels more comfortable. Adjusting the bend of the knee. Still find all of that length in the body. Breathe in. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Take the palms to the mat, flatten them out. Step your right foot all the way to the back of the mat. Lower that right knee down. Bring the palms of the hands to that left thigh. Whenever you feel stable, gentle pressure of the palms of the hands against the thigh as you lengthen your spine upwards. When you're ready, reach those arms up high to the sky, low lunge, or hands can be at heart center. See if you can add a little bit more space here, reaching through all 10 fingers, but keeping the shoulders softened away from the body. Nice. Take a breath, fill up. Exhale, palms frame the front foot. Tuck your back toe. Lift your back knee. Back foot steps up to meet the front. Lift halfway, lengthen, glance up. And then exhale, fold down and in. Chair pose on the inhale, bend the knees. Sweep those arms up high to the sky. Nice. And then exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Fold down, breathe out. Step both feet to the back of the mat. Find that plank pose, knees or toes. Shift forward, and then find your way all the way down to the mat. Lift your heart for cobra pose. Exhale down, chin to mat. Plank or tabletop, take a breath in. Downward facing dog, take a breath out. Next inhale, lift your right leg up and back. And pause right here for a moment. This leg can be as high as feels comfortable, but I want you to focus on the length. Reaching all the way from the hip to the heel and lengthening from that heel all the way to the fingertips. Now this is not comfortable for you. You can always drop that left knee down. You can always come down onto the forearms. Take one big breath in, reach through that foot. As you exhale, bend that right knee and take the knee towards the nose. And then step the foot right between the hands. Lower the back knee down to the mat. Release the tops of the foot to the mat. Option to bring that blanket in to soften the knee against the mat. And then draw the hands to the thigh. Inhale, reach those arms up high to the sky. Beautiful. Exhale down, palms frame the front foot. Tuck your back toe and lift your back knee. This time the front foot is going to step back to meet the back foot. Plank pose, knees or toes. So maybe you take your plank pose here on your knees because you've already got your blanket here to support you. Shift forward and lower all the way down to the mat. Lift your heart up, cobra pose. Exhale down, chin to mat. Take a plank or a tabletop, and then exhale back, downward facing dog. Take a breath in. And take a breath out. Inhale, the left leg lifts up and back. And the same thing here. Focus on the length that you're getting rather than how far the leg is lifting. Lengthen as you breathe in. Exhale, takes the knee to the nose, bend the knee, and step the foot right between the hands. Slowly lower that back knee down to the mat. The hands come to the thigh. And then eventually those hands reach up to the sky, low lunge. Reach through all 10 fingers, lengthen, stretch, breathe. And then exhale, palms come down, frame the front foot. Tuck the back toe. Lift the back knee. The back foot, front foot steps back to meet the back, plank pose. Shift forward and lower down to the mat. Inhale, lift the heart up. Exhale, chin to mat. Plank or tabletop, take a breath in. And then downward facing dog, take a breath out. Breathe in, fill up. And breathe out, let go. Now, on your next inhale, roll forward into a plank pose. Lower the left knee down to the mat and slide your left hand over towards the center of the mat. When you're ready, begin to roll onto your left side, bringing the sole of the right foot to the mat and reaching the right hand high to the sky. Modified side plank. Option here to keep that blanket to support the knee. And maybe you stay right here. You can also lift this top leg up and away from the mat to get a little bit of balance, a little bit of challenge here. Take a breath as you lengthen through that heel, reach through the fingertips. And then exhale, roll back to your tabletop, bringing both knees to the mat. Take a couple cat-cows here. Breathe in and breathe out. Neutral spine, tuck the toes. Shift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. One breath in and one breath out. With an inhale, roll forward into a plank pose. This time, right knee comes down. Setting up for side plank on this side. Right hand slides towards the center as you open up towards the left. Reaching left hand high. Placing that left foot on the mat to start, opening through the collarbones, and then maybe lifting that back foot or the top foot up and away from the mat to give yourself a little bit of extra challenge. Take a breath and breathe it out. One more breath in. Exhale, palm down, knee down, tabletop position. A couple cat-cows just to wring out the spine. And then come on back to your neutral spine. Tuck your toes, shift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale on the toes, bend the knees, and then step the feet to the hands for a forward fold. Toe heel the feet about hips distance apart. Peace fingers come down and wrap around those big toes. Lift up halfway, get long through the spine. And then as you exhale, fold yourself all the way down and in. Now, maybe the hands would be more comfortable on blocks here. Maybe you'd like to let those arms just pull the body down and in. Or you can bend the knees one at a time. Or both knees a little bit to release the low back. Letting the eyes close and just feeling the body release. Feeling the spine get nice and long. On your last breath, fill the body all the way up. And then exhale. Release if you have that toe grip. Move the blocks if you have blocks. Palms come down to the mat or fingertips to the mat. Toe heel the feet together. Lift up halfway. Exhale, fold down and in. Inhale, big toes touch, chair pose, bend the knees, reach arms up high to the sky. Think about this chair just a little bit, maybe a little more bend in the knees, a little less, maybe the feet toe heel apart a little bit. Option to keep the arms reaching high or bring the hands to heart center. Take a breath, fill up. As you exhale, twist your body to the right, just taking your gaze over towards the right wall first. Option to lengthen the arms out to a T, or you can keep them at heart center too if that's more comfortable. Maybe beginning to gaze over that right shoulder if that feels okay, or just keeping the gaze neutral towards the wall. Letting the breath flow in and the breath flow out. Next inhale, twist back to center, bring hands to the heart, pause. And then exhale, twist to the left to start, keeping the hands together just at the beginning, and then that option to reach arms out to a T, or palms facing forward. Gazing towards the wall, or eventually beginning to gaze over the left shoulder. Keeping the torso facing the front, taking a breath, lengthening through the fingertips. Inhale, brings you back to center, hands at the heart. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, and fold all the way down. Bend the knees, inhale, sweep arms up high to the sky, high mountain pose. Exhale, hands to the heart. Closing the eyes for just a moment and beginning that process of reconnecting both to your breath, to your body, and to your shape. To that sense of gratitude as we begin to move into our balancing postures. Rooting through both feet to begin. Letting the eyes blink open and beginning then to shift the weight into the right foot. Just coming up onto the tiptoes of the left foot to begin, bending that knee a little bit, and this might be where you stay. You can also begin to bring those toes away from the mat, drawing the knee upwards. Maybe finding that that shin eventually, or the calf, the thigh eventually gets parallel to the mat. Option to press that left foot forward, reaching it towards the front of the room, straightening out that knee, lifting a little bit, or letting the heel come a little closer to the earth. Pausing here, finding that sense of stability. Breathe in. And breathe out. Now, next inhale, begin to draw that knee back in towards the chest. Take a pause, full breath. As you exhale, begin to move into a warrior three. The foot reaches back, the crown of the head reaches forward. Hands can stay exactly where they are. You can reach down and put your hands on the mat or on blocks. Or even let the hands go back by the hips to fly. Lifting and lengthening through the leg. Lifting and lengthening through the chest. Breathe in. And breathe out. And as you exhale, palms come down to the mat. Back foot steps up to meet the front. Lift up halfway. Fold yourself down. Inhale, sweeps arms up high to the sky. Exhale, hands come to the heart. Pausing just for a moment here, reconnecting with the standing pose. Perhaps the feet come a little further apart, rooting down through all four corners of the feet. Eyes open, shifting the weight to the left foot, and then coming up onto the right toes to start. You might stay here, or you may start to bring that right knee up, hitting the thigh parallel with the mat, flexing through the foot. Option to straighten that knee, pressing the foot towards the front of the room, lifting or lowering, finding your place to land. Keeping the body nice and upright. Using that gaze to crystallize your focus. Next inhale, start to rebend that knee, coming back to that parallel shape. And then transition into your warrior three, the foot reaching back, the crown reaching forward. Same option, hands to the blocks if that feels good. Hands can remain at the heart, or hands can reach back by your hips to fly. Lengthening through the heel, reaching through the crown. Letting your breath lift and lighten. One more inhale. Exhale, release the hands to the mat, back foot steps up to meet the front. Halfway lift, breathe in. Full down, breathe out. Inhale, sweep arms up high to the sky. And then exhale, hands to the heart. Pausing this one last time to find your grounding, find your earth. Shifting weight into the right foot. And then drawing yourself up, drawing that left knee into the chest, or keeping the toes on the mat. And then allowing that knee to open out to the left side, sole of the foot landing somewhere. The foot can be down by the ankle for a kickstand. The foot can be on the calf or even up to the thigh if that feels good. Once you feel stable, option to reach those arms up high to the sky, lengthen through the branches, or just stay here with hands at the heart or hands at the hip. Bring the hands back down to the heart if they're lifted. Pivot that left knee into the chest. Set the foot down. And then shift the weight and just rotate out your right foot a little bit. Rotate the ankle, come up onto the toe, shift back to the heel, just to give it a little bit of relief. Reground yourself here. Hands to the heart. Gaze forward, shifting weight to the left. Coming up onto the right toes or drawing right knee into the chest. And then pivoting right knee out to the side, finding that tree pose. Foot at the ankle, the calf or the thigh. Might feel different on this side, one side or the other. It might feel more stable or less stable. Give yourself time to really ground down through that standing foot, and then maybe you reach the arms high to the sky, or maybe you just stay here. Sometimes you find the higher you reach, the easier it actually becomes to balance. Take a breath, lengthen just a little more. Hands come back to the heart if they're lifted. Knee pivots back into the chest, and then set the foot down. Lifting the left foot this time, pivoting back and forth or circling the ankle around, just to give it a little bit of love. Coming back to your standing posture, your mountain pose. Inhale, arms reach up high to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Fold down, breathe out. Flatten the palms on the mat, bend the knees enough to make that happen, and then step your right foot all the way to the back of the mat. This time, lower the heel down. Point the toes to the upper right corner of the mat. Firmly root into that front foot, and then as you're ready, really root into both feet and reach your arms up high to the sky, warrior one. Squeezing the pinky toe edge of the foot into the mat, and you might find that you adjust the stride a little bit. Maybe the back foot steps up and in a little bit. Maybe the toe point changes a little bit. Finding the place where you feel most comfortable, and then sinking a little further into the hips and reaching a little bit higher to the sky. Breathe in. As you exhale, open up into a warrior two. The back foot pivots down so it lines up at the pinky toe edge of the mat. The pinky toe edge of the foot lines up with the mat. That's what I meant to say. Arms reach long and strong with the gaze over those front middle fingers. Now this is again a place where you can adjust your stride. The leg may go further apart. The legs may come closer together. Finding the place where you can lengthen the back body down towards the mat. Lengthen the front body up towards the ceiling. Now inhale, reach that front hand forward, flip the palm. And as you exhale, slowly start to reach those fingertips up towards the ceiling, letting that right hand land either down the leg or behind the back. Lengthen through the body. Really reach through those left fingertips. And then on this next exhale, start to tip yourself back, reaching those fingertips back towards the back wall. Yeah, nice and slow, really finding all that space through the side body. Take a breath and fill up. Pause as you exhale. Inhale, find that last little bit of reach there. And then exhale, find your warrior two arms. Lengthen arms out. Reach the front hand forward, straighten out that front knee. And as you exhale, let that left hand come down and find a place to land. It might want to land on a block. You can also land on your shin or the mat, reaching your right hand high to the sky. Letting this triangle pose open up through the whole front part of the body. Stacking the shoulders. Finding a place to gaze that feels comfortable. That might be up at the fingertips or it might be at the side wall. Let's take one more breath here. And then exhale, slowly bring those hands down and frame the front foot. Put a little bend in your front knee. Palms can be on blocks throughout this entire sequence. Back foot is going to step up and out just a little bit, moving into our pyramid pose. As you inhale, lengthen the spine and glance up. Straighten that front knee. And then exhale, fold down and in to any degree. Maybe adjusting the height of the blocks, feeling that sensation of lengthening in that back hamstring. Inhale, come up and lengthen again to find just a little bit more space through the spine. And then exhale, fold down and in for the last little bit of this stretch. Letting the eyes close, letting the body be completely heavy. Slowing the breath down. Now inhale, come up onto those fingertips again. If you have a prop here, go ahead and slide them gently out of the way. Put a bend in the front knee, plant your palms, step back to a downward facing dog. Reconnect with this dog, pedaling the feet, shifting the body. Taking a few breaths. Next, inhale on the toes. Bend the knees, and then walk the feet to the hands. Halfway lift, take a breath in, fold down, breathe out, flatten the palms, bend the knees enough to make that happen. Step your left foot to the back of the mat. This time, lower the back heel down and point those toes-ish towards the upper left corner of the mat. Root down through both feet, especially the pinky toe edge of that back foot, and then start to sweep your arms up high to the sky. Warrior one. Making those adjustments, the front foot can move, the back foot can move. You can adjust the angle of those back toes. And then sink down just a little bit. Make some space through the side body as you reach through all 10 fingers, soften the shoulders away from the ears. Breathe in. Exhale, open up warrior two. Pinky toe edge of the back foot lines up with the back edge of the mat. Opening the arms long and strong. Reaching from fingertip to fingertip. Lengthening the back body towards the floor, lengthening the front body up towards the ceiling. Finding that perfect degree of bend in that front knee. It might not be 90 degrees, it might be a little less. Stability is important, so make sure that the body feels completely stable. Inhale, reach that front hand forward, flip the palm. Slowly start to reach those fingertips up towards the ceiling. Lengthening through that right side body first, finding all of that space. And then with an exhale, starting to gently reach those fingertips back towards the back wall, that full extension of reverse warrior. Finding whatever degree of extension allows you to stay in that place of stability. And then gazing to a place that feels comfortable as well, maybe at the floor or the sidewall or even up at your fingertips. Breathe in and breathe out. Now inhale, come back to those warrior two arms, bring the torso upright. Reach the front hand forward, straighten out your front knee, and then drop that hand down, finding your triangle pose, adding a block or another prop, or maybe you just let that hand come down to your shin, reaching the left hand high to the sky. Stacking shoulders, opening through the collarbones. Feeling that grace of being in a stable place and letting the body make its way to a fully open position. Breathe fully. Exhale completely. One more breath. The exhale takes the palm and frames the front foot. Put a little bend in that front knee. The back foot is going to step up and out for your pyramid pose. You might bring the feet a little closer together or even make a little bit more space. Once you find that perfect place to land, inhale, come up and lengthen the spine. As you exhale, straighten that front knee and fold down and in, letting your body hang heavy over the leg. One more time, inhale, lengthen the spine, take a glance up, and then exhale, fold down and in for that last little bit, allowing the eyes to close. Breathe. Next inhale, come up onto the fingertips. Get rid of the props if you have them. Palms to the mat, little bend in the front knee, and then step back to your downward facing dog. Last little bit of downward facing dog here. So find any movement that you still need, bending knees, shaking head yes, shaking head no. Noticing how different this pose feels than the first down dog you took today. Next inhale, roll into a plank pose. And then exhale, lower down knees, chest, and chin. Release the tops of the feet, slide your arms back by your hips, palms up. You're going to take a variation of locust pose today. And so we'll begin by lengthening the body, reaching through the toes, reaching through the crown of the head so the whole body is long. And on your next inhale, start to bring the feet and the shins and the knees away from the mat. Just lift them up a little bit. Zip the thighs up, squeeze the thighs together, breathe in, lift up. And then exhale, slowly lower the feet. Relax the whole body. And then we'll do just the top part of the body this time. So bring the chin to neutral. Press into the tops of the feet. Start to lift the chin and the chest and the rib cage away from the mat. And then lift the arms and hands up too. Extend those fingertips back towards the back of the room. Lift a little bit higher. Breathe in. And then exhale, slowly lower down. Resting one cheek or on the chin. And then for this last one, we're going to do the whole body, but you choose. If you'd rather just lift the upper body or just lift the legs and feet, you feel free to make that modification for yourself. Bringing the chin back to neutral. And then we begin to lift feet and head and chest and arms, balancing right there on the hip points. Inhale, lift just a little bit higher. And then exhale, slowly lower down. Resting one cheek or the other for the last moment here. And then when you're ready, we'll begin by taking a half bow. Bring your right forearm up parallel to the front of the mat. Bend the left knee so the heel comes to the glute and reach around with the left hand, grabbing onto that foot. You can stay right here or begin to press the foot into the hand and open up that left shoulder a little bit. If you can't quite make the connection, You can just make the shape, right? You can reach the hand back towards the foot. You can press the heel towards the glute. And then slowly and gently release, and we'll move to the other side. Left forearm parallel to the mat, bending the right knee, reach around. Find that connection. Option to add a little bit more to this, press the foot into the hand, lifting and opening through that right shoulder. And again, if the connection just doesn't quite happen, you can just make this general shape. Gently release, and then press yourself up and back to a child's pose, hips to heels, big toes touching. Letting the knees be as far apart as feels comfortable in the body. And then option to add props here to make this a more restorative prop or restorative version. Bolster underneath the torso can be very nice and restful, giving the whole upper body support. You can also put a blanket or a bolster between the thighs and the shins, that are the calves, to give a little bit of support there. And then there's the option to put a block underneath the forehead, just to give the forehead a little bit of extra support. If you're turned onto one cheek, turn to the opposite cheek just to balance out both sides. Not getting too comfortable because we're not quite finished yet. All right, when you're ready to give this up, you can begin to come back upright, get rid of your props, set them to the side, and then come all the way down onto your back. Just make sure you can reach over and grab at least one block, sliding your bottom to the middle of the mat. Once you get down onto your back, draw the knees into the chest and squeeze in nice and tight. Just let yourself rock and roll a little bit side to side. Wrap your arms around the shins, rolling to one side, rolling to the other side. Giving the low back a little bit of massage. Release the soles of the feet to the mat. And then bring the right foot up and cross the ankle over the left thigh, moving into a supine, a back pigeon, or a number 4 shape with the legs. Now this might be as far as you want to take it. You might be getting a good bit of sensation in the right hip right here. But if you want to add a little bit more sensation on, you can begin to lift that left foot away from the mat, bringing the knee into the chest and supporting either the back of the thigh or the front of the shin to squeeze that knee a little bit tighter. You can also straighten that left leg, pointing the foot up towards the ceiling, pointing and flexing the toe a few times. You can even walk the hands up the leg and bring it behind the calf as long as the upper body can stay in a relaxed position. Releasing left foot to the mat. Releasing right foot to the mat. And then taking a few windshield wipers of the knees side to side. Coming back to center as we move to the opposite side. Left ankle over the right thigh. Staying here or transitioning into bringing that right knee up and in towards the chest. Supporting the shin or the thigh. Option to straighten the leg. And releasing the right foot down to the mat. Releasing the left foot down to the mat. Taking the palms of the hands, sliding them down by your hips, palms down on the mat. And then step your feet in close to the glutes, feet about hips distance apart. We're going to move into a couple bridge poses. We're going to do some rolling bridge poses first. We'll hold a bridge pose, and then we'll add a block at the end. So as you're ready, take a breath in, and then take a breath out. Now press down into the feet. Lift your hips up for bridge pose. And then exhale, lower hips all the way back down. Inhale, press into the feet, lift the hips, bridge pose. And then exhale, lower down. This time we're going to hold it. Inhale, press down into the feet, lift the hips up. Tuck in one shoulder, then the other. Slide the hands beneath your low back. Clasp the fingers together, pressing the pinky fingers down into the mat. And then if you want a little bit more here, you have the option to come up onto one set of toes or both toes. Maybe even lift one leg away or 1 foot away from the mat. And if you do that, give it a couple breaths and then lift the other. Slowly bringing both sets of toes to the mat and then both heels. Unclasping the hands, releasing the shoulders, and bringing the hips down to the mat. Grabbing your block, we'll move into a supported version of this bridge pose. When you're ready, inhale, lift the hips up. Slide the block under the sacrum, and then let the hips lower down onto the block. You might have to move the hips around or move the block around a little bit to get to the perfect landing place. But when you do, let the weight settle there. Lengthen through the back of the neck. Close your eyes. Slow the breath down. If this feels good, you can stay right here. If you'd like to try a legs up the wall version with this block in place, you're welcome to try that. It's called waterfall. And so to keep the block in place, you'll then just gently start to walk the feet back a little bit, come up onto the toes, and then lift the feet up towards the ceiling. And it can be 1 foot or both feet. Flexing the feet just a little bit and let the feet move back and forth and front to back until they feel like they just are weightless, like they're just kind of staying up there on their own without a whole lot of effort on your part. If the block doesn't feel great, you're always welcome to remove it and take the same version but just flat on the mat. You can take the same pose literally with the legs up the wall, and this is a great way to just take 10 or 15 minutes in your day and just rest without necessarily sleeping, but just spend some time to let the feet rest and let the body rejuvenate. Let's take one more inhale. And then exhale, slowly begin to lower the feet all the way down to the mat. If you still have your block in place, lift your hips up, slide the block out, and then let the hips come back down to the mat. Walk the feet out just about as wide apart as the mat, giving a little bit of space between the knees. Taking your arms out to a T or a cactus shape, take a breath. And then exhale, allow the knees to travel all the way over to the right side for a version of twist. The gaze can go to the left if that feels comfortable for you. And then any adjustments to this twist that feel good. This is a wider leg twist, so the legs are not stacked up. But you can always stack the legs up or twist the legs into an eagle wrap. We call that twisted roots. Or any other version of this shape that you like. Bring your gaze back to neutral, knees back to center, and then exhale, knees go left, and the gaze option to go to the right. Now this might feel good on this side, or you might want something a little bit different on this side. Feel free to experiment around, shifting the legs, maybe taking a more stacked version. Inhale, bring your gaze to center. Bring the knees to center. Draw the knees up in towards your chest and give yourself one last squeeze in, knees to chest and thighs to belly. Drawing the forehead towards the knees, squeezing yourself into a little tiny ball. Squeeze in, breathe in. And then exhale, release and relax, Shavasana. So lots of ways to take Shavasana. For this particular one, I'm going to slide a bolster underneath Molly's knees. And I'm also going to put some blocks underneath her feet so they're fully supported. I'm going to take a blanket and put it right across her belly. Just for a little bit of weight. I'm going to give her time to fully relax. Back to this room, the four walls, the floor, and the ceiling. Four corners of your mat and the container of your body. Eventually bringing awareness back to your breath and the beat of your heart. Letting the breath lengthen and strengthen once again. Adding movement when you're ready, wiggling fingers and wiggling toes. Circling ankles and circling wrists, letting the movements gain in size as the body wakes up. Depending on how you've landed, maybe a full body stretch, reaching through the toes, reaching through the fingertips, finding so much space. And eventually contracting in, rolling onto one of your sides to rest for a few moments. Once you make your way back. Coming up to a seat when you're ready, sitting tall. Eyes closed. Hands at the heart. We'll take our last breath together. Exhale completely. Inhale, fill up belly and ribs and chest. Pause at the top. Savor that breath. Open mouth. Exhale, bowing forward. Honoring each other. Honoring yourself. Just as I honor each and every one of you. I'm so grateful for this community. I'm so grateful for this practice. Thank you for being here with us today. Namaste.
Namaste. Yay. Good job.
So hard.
Oh my.